Hey Andrew, how's it going?
Hey, Kareem. It's good. How are you?
Good, good. Thank you for joining us today.
No, it's my pleasure. Thanks for having me on.
So can you please introduce yourself to the viewers?
Sure. Yeah, I'm Andrew Lubahn. I'm a 7-year professional athlete turned entrepreneur. Now I work in the sports and crypto space. Fortunately, at a company called Sportcash One that really fuses the two. We're basically a sports company that finds crypto and blockchain solutions for the entire sports industry.
Awesome. We're gonna dive into that a little bit later. Let's start off with some fun questions. So, who's your favorite team?
Her team, growing up, it was Manchester United. I loved Beckham, Van Nistelrooy, all those guys. And since then, I kind of just started following players. But actually, right now, I love watching Tottenham. I love Gareth Bale. Yeah, they're fun to watch. I'm a Tottenham fan as is now.
Yeah, that's a big deal for Gareth Bale. What about favorite player?
Yeah, towards the end, like I said, I followed players. It probably is Gareth Bale. When I was playing, when I was younger, I was a striker, so I loved Van Nistelrooy, loved Robin van Persie, and then later in my career, kind of transitions to that winger and wingback, and from there, I really loved Gareth Bale. Although it's funny, he kind of went wingback, winger to now a number 9, and I kind of did the opposite. But he's still fun to watch.
Nice. And in your professional career, did you have a favorite pair of cleats or boots?
Yeah, actually, I was obsessed with Nike Vapors. That was the first real cleat I bought with my own money when I was very young. And I was fortunate. The ones Thierry Henry wore in the World Cup with the gold heel, all white, black Nike swoosh, and a gold heel. Those are by far and away my favorite cleats. I think I bought 2 of them, and even when the soles kind of ripped out, I wore them for a year or two with no sole, just the insole. Just awful for my feet, but I just love them so much.
Nice. What's your most memorable soccer moment for yourself that you could just think right away as soon as I ask you the question?
Right away, yeah, probably. Man, you say right away, but there's so many. I was so fortunate. It's been a huge part of my life for 15 years. Winning a championship in San Francisco was a great memory. Really fantastic. Um, Going to the Final Four with Wake Forest when I was a freshman in college was pretty fantastic. Was very exciting. And the first time I got offered a pro contract in Belgium when I was 16 are moments that really stand out. But like I said, I played for so long, and it was such a big part of my life that I really got to experience like the highs of performing really well and having the spotlight on you. I got to be a support player. I got to be a leader. I got to be a rookie. So I had so many great moments for different reasons. It's a long way to not answer your question, but it's the reality.
Nice. What about, in-house, playing in the house? Do you have any crazy stories for us to share?
Yeah, actually, I have a big family, lots of brothers and sisters, and we always had friends over growing up. So we actually had like a concrete basement with 2 fireplaces, probably 15 yards apart, maybe in our basement. And when we moved into our new house, that functioned as like our de facto soccer stadium. Basically, we'd always have friends over there and play futsal. And it's funny you say that. Actually, I have a vivid memory still. I can remember to this day of my club team at that time having a bunch of people over for the weekend for a tournament, and we were all playing in the basement and listening to music. And Eminem's "Lose Yourself" came on, and all of us got super intense. It's a pretty funny memory.
Yeah, great memories. I remember playing soccer in the house, at friends' house in the basement, all that stuff. It's good fun. Last fun question. This is gonna be a good one. Who's better, Messi or Ronaldo?
Yeah, it's,
Who are you choosing?
I think Ronaldo you have to really admire for just the pure output, put the drive and the work he's done to grow his game. You remember when he came up, he was 17, 18. He was a skinny luxury player, basically. Fast forward 5 years later, and he's basically unstoppable as a winger on the dribble. Even a year after that, and he's like a true number 9 who they just whip balls in and he finishes everything with the head. And now he really does everything. So his trajectory from just like what's possible from growth and drive and determination is impressive. But Messi is just like a freak in terms of talent, what he can do, his center of gravity, how fast he can cut a ball, his change of direction. I honestly think it's unlikely there'll ever be another player like Messi in the next generation or so. Ronaldo, you could see just because it's possible if someone is that driven, almost in a psychotic way. But yeah, it's really fortunate to kind of grow up with both players that are joy to watch.
So who you choosing? You got to choose one.
Gonna make me say it. I love Ronaldo coming up. He was my type of player. Yeah, I like Ronaldo, but arguably, I would say at this exact moment, Messi might be like a better player.
Got it. So we're gonna focus on you now, Andrew. Take us back in time and tell us a little about where soccer began for you.
Yeah, so I was super lucky. I played basically every sport growing up: football, baseball, basketball, even roller hockey. Started really seriously playing soccer when I was 10. And then by the time I was 16, I was basically fully specialized in soccer and got an opportunity to go to the Brad Friedel boarding school in Ohio. It was all expenses paid boarding school that Brad Friedel put on to try to send players to Europe. I did that for one semester, got offered a trial in Bruges, Belgium, and left and did my entire junior year of high school in Bruges, Belgium, with a club team there, professional team there. Did a year of that and decided I really wanted to come back and go to college just for the experience, get the education, and just the development that I think college was going to offer you. I was really fortunate. I got a scholarship to Wake Forest, so you really kind of get the best of both worlds in a way that you wouldn't have gotten in Europe at that time. And even when I was doing this was 2009, 2010, there wasn't as many resources as there is now where you can really get a great education without going the university route. You really kind of had to do it that way at the time. And I went to Wake Forest from 2009 to 2014. I ended up staying there because I had injury issues, a couple red shirts, and really, really loved it. I wouldn't trade it for anything. We went to the Final Four my freshman year. I'm in the top 10 in goals there. And yeah, I really had a stellar career. Games played, experiences, players I played with were all playing pro now, and super positive. Then I left for Portland, did a year there, but got injured and never fully signed, but was there until June, signed with Philadelphia Union's affiliate Harrisburg City Islanders for the end of the season, then signed with Louisville City of USL. From there, then I went to San Francisco Deltas and NASL. We won a championship. From there, I went to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, and from the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, I ended with Loudoun United, retired, and then came out of retirement at the very end of one of the years to play with New York Cosmos. But basically, I had always loved and admired the Cosmos from afar, great organization. And when I got a call when I was retired and said, "Do you want to finish the season here? We need you for basically a boost to the end of the year." I did that, and it was really a perfect way to wrap up a career. I was really fortunate.
Nice. How many pro teams have you played for? Put a number on it.
Yeah, it's a good question. Let's do it right now. It was Phillies affiliate, Louisville, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Loudoun, Cosmos. So 7. Yeah,
Nice.
not counting Portland. I played for the U23s and their reserves while I was there, but I never really signed.
Right. And throughout your career, did you move around as a player in different positions, or did you just stick to one main position?
Yeah, so in college, I finished as like a striker and a winger. And the issue was at the pro level, I was probably more like a wide player, rather as a wingback really is a perfect position for me. But I was even a forward. I was a 10 in Louisville, and then San Francisco, I was a left back, and I was a left back or a right back for the rest of my career. But basically, it's like a super high attacking wingback is the position I was.
So it's interesting how you said, you made that transition into the pro level of switching positions. So talk a little bit about that of, why you had to change a position once you went to the next level from a striker to a wing back.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's just what my skill set translated to. It's funny. I had a lot of mixed reviews from coaches. Some coaches just put you in a position and really pigeonhole you to that because that's how it works for the system. And a lot of coaches told me like you're just not a wing back. You're a number 9 or a 10. Other coaches says there's no way you can play as a 10 at this level. Basically, you can be a wing back. But I think it's just form and fit of a coach's style. You have to be adaptable. It's a game of opinions. A lot of coaches have the way they want you to play, and they see certain players' skill sets, and they try to fit that into their system. And that's really the reality of it is you go where coaches want you to play for their system. So that happened to be as a wingback for me in a lot of systems. Primarily, I think it had to do with the shift to really attacking fullbacks, where the game just changes. And fullbacks, when I was a sophomore, or freshman, we played 4-4-2, and the wingbacks or the outside backs were just like solid defending players. Now you see with like Man City, they're basically all converted wingers. Just the evolution of the game. So I think you get a lot of the 1v1, the skill set, the attacking capabilities that come with being a striker, and that just naturally fit into the evolution of the game as a wingback.
True. You have skin in the game. You have 7 years of experience playing at the pro level. What tips would you, give 3 to 5 tips that you would share to amateur wingbacks that want to improve to reach the next level to go pro?
Yeah, I think it's tough from a young player. So I'll just do generally, and then I'll be specific positionally. Generally, for a young player, I think you have more control than you think. It's really tough. The game changes so much, and your status where you fall in the hierarchy changes all the time. But I think really being just committed to your process and your evolution, controlling what you can control, and being better each and every day. That's really just the mindset you have to be. You have to be like hyper focused on making sure you're better than you were yesterday, and then it's kind of let the chips fall where you may. There's so many things outside of your control that you can't necessarily adapt, or so you can't necessarily impact. But where you do have a lot of control is how much better you are the next day than you were before, and ultimately over a long-term career, that's a lot of agency and the power. But just specifically to a wingback, I think one, you have to be super, super fit, always up and down and attacking. You normally have to win your one-on-one duels. You have to be great in possession, but ultimately you get judged by what you do in each box, right? So your final ball, your final product really has to be money, and your defending and your ability to block crosses, and win your battle in the defensive third is ultimately what you're judged on. Yeah.
Great tip. Great.
So, yeah, a lot of that you can do on your own too. You don't need to be within a team setting. Even you can be one-on-one with a friend. You can go get a bag of balls and just whip cross after cross, replicating actions you'll get. A lot of that stuff you can control 100% on your own, and you can control that it's money, such that when you get an opportunity with your coach, you're ready to perform.
Yeah, great tips, Andrew. I like that you're sharing what you can control and how to do it, and then what you can't control, right? Because I know for myself, until tapping into the semi-pro level, I didn't really notice too much of what you couldn't control and how much impact owners and coaches have on the things that happen on the field, right? So it's really good that you mentioned these things. Thank you. So moving on to the next question, what sacrifices have you and your family made for soccer?
Yeah, my family did a ton. My mom drove me. I remember one weekend we were from Western Pennsylvania, and we had an ODP tournament. She drove me 7 hours across country to Philadelphia for like a weekend tournament, because the coaches and it was kind of an agent at the time, an advisor, said, no, you need to be at this tournament, and it's hypercritical you go to this tournament. So we did that one weekend for an entire year. When I was 14 or 15, she drove me 2 to 3 times a week to Cleveland and back. Right after work, she worked full day, picked me up from school, drove me to Cleveland so I could practice, basically an hour and a half drive to train with the internationals team twice a week. So there was that on and off for 2 to 3 years. And then fortunately, I got the opportunity to go to the boarding school in Ohio, where basically everything from there on was taken care of, and they paid for it and did all transportation, things like that. So from 16 on, I was fortunate that I did well enough that a lot of those things were taken care of by the club, the college, or the group I was with, which was important. But yeah, there's no doubt they sacrificed a ton, my parents especially, time, travel, energy, these kinds of things.
Yeah, shout out to all the soccer moms and soccer dads. I know.
That's the best. You don't really appreciate it till you're older too. When you look back and think about, like for example, I'm working now and I do a full day of work, and I think my mom did that and then drove me back while I would sleep or do homework in the car. Basically, it's pretty incredible what they can do.
Yeah. I have a funny question to ask. Did you ever have one of those drive backs from like a bad game and your parents are just giving you, like, they're just repping you after a bad, did you ever have one of those car drives back home?
No, I was kind of fortunate. My parents are both professionals in their careers, so they would. It's funny. My dad, for example, would go to my game, kind of watch my game, but also be doing work on the sideline. So they were less. They were super supportive, and that they took me everywhere and did what I needed to do there. But they were doing their own thing while I was there. They had pretty demanding careers. So to your question, no, they never really ripped me. They were more kind of asking me to learn about the game and to explain it to them, which was funny that I kind of got off the hook if I played poorly. But it cut the other way too. When I did really well, they weren't necessarily excited for me. Or anything like
True, there's a certain balance to it. That's
that.
good.
Yeah.
So, and they were being very productive at the same time. That's good. So, when you going back a little bit more to when you signed your first professional contract, how did you
Mhm.
feel?
Yeah, so I did it a bit backwards. When I was 16, I got offered the contract in Belgium, and that was an incredible feeling. I was basically on a high for 2 weeks. Thankfully, I had the foresight not to officially sign because then I couldn't get a scholarship for college. But the fact that they were offering the contract and wanted me there and training with, like, for example, we had Thomas Buffel was a pro at the time. He was there. He played for Belgium's national team, played for Rangers. Some really big pros were there at the time, and I was on a high for 2 weeks just training with them and being around the group. It was pretty fantastic. It was euphoric. Yeah, it was a great experience. But then my first official one really was, really was in Louisville because I even signed like an end of the year contract in Harrisburg, and it was like a part-time contract. I knew it was a part-time contract. But when I signed in Louisville, it was official and full-time thing, and proper preseason, all of that. So that was an exciting moment later, but it happened like 8 years from when I got the offer in Bruges, Belgium.
Nice.
Mhm.
Did you have an agent through your process, or did you do it all by yourself?
Yeah, I had an agent from the time I was like 14 or 15. He came to an ODP practice, and I was playing for youth national teams and things like that. And he was just like an advisor, someone who wanted me to do well, help somebody out from the region. So from that standpoint, he was pretty great. I officially signed with an agent later on in my career. So yeah, I've had several agents, I've had several advisors. The older you get, the more impersonal it becomes, and it really becomes just like a business. But I would say to young players, there's a lot of people who say they're agents who don't have your best interest. There's a full variety of different intermediaries, they're called, right? And you really need to find one who's going to act in your best interest and who's going to look out for you for the long term. There's no secret that agents, like coaches and owners, have a lot of control. So you really want to think about that like a strategic partnership of who's somebody you can see yourself working with over a long period of time, that you trust. And there's no harm. A lot of my friends who are pros fire their agents all the time, shuffle through agents. There's no direct right way to do it, but I would say my friends who had great careers, people who are very successful, find key people who they trust as their agents, and they work with them over a long period of
Exactly.
time. Mhm.
Before we lead into where has soccer led you now, what are three
Mhm.
tips that you can share with the viewers that want to go pro?
Three tips. Yeah, I mean, one I would say is be hyper realistic about your chances to do it. I think you can do it. I think a lot of people who can do it, but they have to be realistic with one, what they want, two, what they're willing to give up, and three, if they think that sacrifice is going to be worth it. That's really the trick. I was fortunate. I gave up a lot, but it's never felt like a compromise to me. It's always felt like it was worth it. So I would say be hyper realistic about how bad you want it, because there's no doubt it comes with a ton of sacrifice, compromise, and you miss out on a lot of things. Um, yeah, but I think the heuristic or the way in to see for yourself if you think it's worth it is if you, one, could do it if no one would pay you. Two, if it feels like play to you and everybody else thinks it's work, that's a good way to look at it. And then the third would be just be humble, be grateful, and work as hard as you possibly can so that you don't have any regrets. Because once it's over, it's over really. You have to make your peace with the fact that you did everything you could, and then view. If you did everything you could, you don't have any regret, no matter where you end up. So those would be my points.
Great tips. Where has soccer led you now?
Yeah, so I'm super fortunate. Like I said, I played 7 years, and towards the end of my career, I was really transitioning into the next phase. I took a course in MIT in blockchain and cryptocurrency, and when I was in San Francisco in 2017, I got really into the cryptocurrency space. I did an IEO for a particular token that went really well. I helped out with them, I should say. And then I recently just launched our IEO, our initial exchange offering for a sport utility token with a company called Sportcash One. So that's what I've been doing now, and it's a really great segue to kind of leverage my sporting network with another passion of mine, which is cryptocurrencies and blockchain and technology in general. So you asked me what advice I should give players if they want to become pro. That's great. But once you become pro too, I want to help athletes kind of transition to the next phase of their career, whatever that may be. And that's something we try to do with Sportcash One, is try to enable athletes as entrepreneurs. We like to call them athletepreneurs. It really isn't a better time for you to be an athlete and to leverage your profile, your status, and your access for professional gain. It's a great opportunity to do so, and we think Sportcash One gives you a lot of the technical capacity to do that. So it's something I'm passionate about, something I feel fortunate to be involved in on a day-to-day basis, and I'm really excited to keep working in.
Amazing. And how long has this been in the works for?
Yeah, so I spent 7 months now. I started while I was working with the Cosmos. I would train all day and then work in the afternoon for the company. So I've been working really since October of last year. I've been working for Sportcash One, and it's been a fun startup experience, and I've really enjoyed it.
Nice. And is everyone able to get into this? Or do you have to have a certain status and criteria in order to get into Sport Cash One?
Yeah, so for example, our team is only 7 members, and we're hiring all sorts of different skill positions. So we're not against hiring athletes or anything like that, but we do have a social profile, which we help athletes leverage their platform, earn cryptocurrencies for engagement, and reach fans on our blockchain and crypto solution. So from that standpoint, we take all athletes of all stripes. We have Olympians to youth athletes the world over. We have people from India, people from London, UK. All of them are welcome on our platform, and we really encourage athletes to sign up and kind of leverage their social capital by earning cryptocurrencies as they engage socially. And we think our user interface is pretty strong. It helps athletes reach a bigger group and enjoy a lot of the network effects that we provide by growing our social. There's brands that come to our site because they know there's all these athletes. It's a great way to network and improve your social capital as an athlete and hopefully as an entrepreneur.
Yeah, I love the crypto space. This is awesome. I love what you guys are doing. Andrew, before you go, where can the viewers find you?
Yeah, so the best place is to find me specifically is to go to my Instagram or my Twitter. My Instagram handle is @SirLubahn the 77th, and my Instagram is @SirLubahn_17th. And then I encourage everyone, especially athletes, youth athletes of all levels, to go to sportcash.one. Check out our social site. We're actually going to launch our brand new and improved social site probably within 2 weeks. So we're super excited to roll that out and get as many signups as possible. Yes, it's exciting. We have packages and social sites and signups for athletes from all ages. So whether you're an established pro or you're a young athlete looking to get funding, we offer a ton of great products to help you do so. One of which is the capacity to make your own individual NFTs and to sell those to speculators and investors to help fund your career at a young age. Sports are great. I was fortunate. I got a lot of help to play throughout my career professionally, but there's no doubt that if you have financing and people paying for training, it can make a huge, huge impact. Like I said earlier, you don't want to have any regrets. So whether that's weight training or proper nutrition or access to facilities, we want to help that at Sportcash One. And we think our NFT solution and a lot of the technological developments that we've created help enable athletes to achieve those goals and find that financing while also protecting investors via crypto assets. So it's really a win-win, and it's something I'm super passionate about as a former athlete and somebody who wants to give back, but who also wants to help people improve their financial situation. So I'm super, like I said, I'm super proud of it and super excited about what we're doing.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting. I love the concept, and I love that you're giving back. Amazing. Dive in a little more on how NFTs work. What is it for, for the viewers that might not be into the crypto space or not know too much of it? Because I understand what you're saying, but it's like, but wait, what is that? I'm in the crypto space as well, but for the viewers that are not, can you just explain a little bit more of what an NFT is? How does it? How would it help them? I understand investors would be able to financially help and all these other things, but Andrew, take it away, please.
Yeah, sure. So an NFT, or a non-fungible token, is a cryptocurrency. It's a token, and it's something that is on a blockchain and verifies that this NFT is one of one, for example. So let's take a young player and go through that use case. If a young player is developing in their career and they win a youth championship, we would create an NFT of them with the trophy or the highlight of the trophy, verify it one of one on chain, as they say, and show that it's one of one. And then we would sell that to investors or speculators or anybody who wanted to share that memorabilia. What's good about an NFT is the provenance is built in. Everybody knows who owns it. Everybody will know who's owned it from the history of time. It's not like you get a rookie Michael Jordan card and they say Shaq owned it or Jay-Z, and you just have to trust the owner. You can actually see the owner built into the transactions on chain. Additionally, you can build in all sorts of entitlements to the holder who holds the NFT. So, for example, if I buy your NFT of your youth game or something, I can have written in via smart contracts that if you go to the Premier League or something like that, I get a portion of the value of the NFT should it be sold in the future in perpetuity. So it really is a good way to protect investors, but it also is a cool, tangible asset that athletes and teams can create across all levels. Really, there's something for everyone. The other important piece with NFTs is that's meritocratic, that anybody can create it. It doesn't restrict or pull people out, and the value is ultimately governed by the community. If you have a strong community and a lot of social capital, the values of NFTs that you create are going to capture that corresponding value. So in that sense, it really aligns a lot of the values from ownership all the way down to fandom, and it gives you a tangible token that you can take away. The final piece is NFTs are built for a responding digitally native future. And one good way of thinking about it is taking the nostalgia of sports memorabilia, the desire for these kinds of products, and it's taking that and moving it into the digital arena with all the modern day tech that establishes. So you don't lose out on sports nostalgia or memorabilia, and you gain all the 21st century technical innovations that have occurred. So it's taking that nostalgia and bringing it into the 21st century tech for the sporting industry.
Got it.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, I really appreciate you taking the time to do this interview with me. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.